Through a Scottish Prism, the programme that is unapologetically pro-Scottish independence and anti-Westminster rule. Everything we say here is viewed through a Scottish Prism. Brought to you by Barhead Boy.
Well, folks, welcome back to Through a Scottish Prism midweek. We're continuing with our shows of those people who are standing for the National Executive Council of the Alba Party. We're giving everyone a wee platform here and let you get to know some of these candidates. Hope we can get all. There's an awful lot standing, which shows you the strength and health of the party. That there's a lot of people for all of the positions, so there'll be votes everywhere. And so, to give you the best chance of selecting the candidates that meet best with your hopes and wishes, we're getting as many on here onto the Prism as we can. Starting with Hamish Vernal from up there in the northeast, a lifetime activist, independence, grandpa, and all-round good guy. Hamish, welcome to Prism.
Thanks, Roddy. Thank you for that introduction. Yep.
You're welcome. It's every word was true. We've also from up there in the northeast, we've got Trish Macpherson, who is, just let me get this right, so I've got your position right. You're the secretary of the Aberdeenshire LACU, and you have been you're standing this to you've been involved with of course, with the Women Won't Waste and the Equalities and Women's group, and you're standing for ordinary member. Trish, welcome to Through a Scottish Prism.
Thank you, Roddy, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to go before our fantastic members. Looking forward to it.
They'll be delighted. They're delighted. And also we have one of the founder members of the party, and Eva's Equality Group, and a previous member of the Conduct Committee with Hamish there, and secretary of the Fife LACU. We have Jackie Anderson. There we are. Now, Jackie's camera's not functioning for us today, so your picture there of the lovely Jackie there. You'll be there. Welcome, Jackie.
Hi, Roddy. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're more than welcome. It's a pleasure, absolute pleasure. I know down there in Ayrshire, we've got the convener of the, South East Ayrshire, I hope it is, or South Ayrshire LACU. It's Sean Davis. Sean,
hi, Hamish. Thank you very much. Well, it's the East Ayrshire LACU, but yeah, thank you.
East.
Yeah.
Welcome. Nice to see you again. We're also waiting on Hector Macleod from up there in the sky, and hopefully Hector will be joining us soon to join in this. So, firstly, welcome. Hamish, if I could start with you, my friend. You've been in the NEC since it began in the Alba Party, and here you go. You're going for it again. Yeah, we're mugs. I'm in the same boat myself. You obviously enjoyed it. What is it you've enjoyed about it the most?
I think, Roddy, building a party. I'm a founder member too. I joined the day Alba was set up. That was the day I resigned after 60 years in the SNP. So the opportunity to build up a party with independence at its core. Now, I feel it's a bit of deja vu here because I've been through this before, way back in the 60s and 70s. And I said to some of the people, Trish might remember this, when we were campaigning in Holyrood 6 weeks after the party got set up, I said, this is just what it was like in the 1970s campaigning for the SNP. It was all rush about, do, camaraderie, working together, a great feeling, a great buzz. Okay, we didn't get anywhere, but so what? So the thought of building up a party has not put me back. In fact, it's enthused me, and I'm still in it for a while yet.
Yeah, you and me both. Same story. I've been there before, but we'll do it again. And it is enjoyable. It's the camaraderie. You're right. It's the camaraderie, and everyone facing in the same direction. That's what makes it. And Trish, this is you. You've been very active though in the party with all you do within the LACU and previously in the SNP. But what made you want to go on to this now to stand on the NEC?
I think it was just to get a wider flavour of the membership. You know, as the Aberdeenshire secretary, I spent quite a lot of time on the phone to individual members, and you know, as Hamish says, we're all invigorated for the same cause, and I just think that I could be the ordinary voice of the people that I get to speak to, and take that forward to the high Hegians in the party.
Yeah, and but it must be quite exciting for you to be doing this for the first time.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yes, of course, I'm surrounded by fantastic people. I mean, Hamish, for a kick-off, he's the convener of our LACU, and what a gentleman he is. Absolutely wonderful person. He's quite right when he says he's a good all-round guy. And of course, got is Alex Salmond, and I'm sorry, Sean, but I have to let you know that I couldn't do this show without some support today. So I've brought my main supporter with me.
I'm leaving.
Sorry, Sean. I know how much you mean to you, but it has to be done. All fair and love and more.
I was saying in one of my other shows about Margaret Kerr, but we should actually bring in a new NEC position. You know, the convener of knitting dolls.
Absolutely.
I mean, she deserves it. I mean, that was quite, the one she did to me was spooky. You know, it was like looking in a mirror, quite frightening. I didn't, you know, makes you realise how old we're getting. And again, Jackie, welcome. And here you are, an activist, a campaigner for independence, equalities. You've worked your wee socks off always, but now you've decided to run for NEC. Was there anything that sort of particularly motivated you to do that?
Yeah, I think, without repeating everything Trish has said, because I'm involved in the LACU and being the secretary there, we can see some things that the members are asking for, you know, that we might want to take forward to the leadership on NEC. So it's really just to be that voice of the members. And, you know, anyone who knows me knows that, you know, I kind of like the rules, and I'm fascinated by the Constitution and how we get things done. So that's kind of right up my street, you know, is taking folks' problems and trying to come up with solutions as to how we fix them, what we have to do, you know, to get where we want, you know, to be according to the members.
Excellent. And Sean, the same question to you, my friend. I know you've been an independent, as you say, all your life, but what made you decide now you wanted to go for NEC?
Well, I think, I suppose we need a younger voice in as well. I'm not being ageist or anything, but I think being a young person, I can maybe take the voice of the young people of the party to, as Trish said, the high Hegians. So it's plus you need experience, and I think this will give me the experience I need to help the party run as well. Because obviously I've got no experience running a party or even sorting problems in the party. So it'd be good to get that experience and take it forward, so that other young people might be inspired to come along and try run for it as well.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Of course, it's Hamish, you know, the young blood. We like to see it coming in, but as we've just been told, we're old guys and we're on our way out. We need these youngsters. We need these youngsters to get ready to take up the slack. But you know, Sean is right. You know, because we've been through it before and we've built up a party, we do have that experience that we can pass on, because it might be needed again. You never know. We're able to show them the pitfalls that we hit.
I absolutely agree, and I agree with Sean in that respect. You need a blend of it's a bit like a football team. Sorry to go back to the football analogy, but you need a blend of youth and experience, of people who can roll up their sleeves and get on with it. I'm getting to the stage where I don't want to go in marches anymore, because I just find them too, it's too much. But I'm happy to take part in committee meetings, and I go out leafleting and all of that kind of thing. Help build up that. And when you go through looking at building up a party, there's always things that are the same and things that come up that don't work. And you've got to be able to work that out and pass on that experience, and have the young people then move on, take it on. I suppose the modern jargon would be succession planning, but it's a fancy way of saying pass on your experience to younger folk and let them go on with it. I'm very keen on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking of football analogies, what you need is a new manager and a decent striker, but that's another story for another day. I'm still in pain here. It's not good. Trish, is there any particular areas within, party policy or not yet party policy that you want to be specialising in?
Well, of course, I've got an interest in the women's rights aspect of things, and I'm part of the Christina's subgroup on children's mental health, which is really, really interesting. But the most fascinating thing I found about being part of any of these things has been the breadth of experience, regardless of the age of the person that's involved. That the breadth of experience that there is in this party. I mean, in this group, we've got women who've written for, they've written white papers, they've written for Commonweal, they're psychologists, they're social workers. It's just absolutely fantastic. So if I can harness their interest and bring that forward, then as an ordinary member, just bearing that in mind, then that's something that I would like to do. Of course, my inspiration when I was growing up was Margot MacDonald, sadly no longer with us, but now my inspiration is our wonderful Eva Comrie. She's just absolutely fantastic.
Cheers.
Just have to get her in there, as she's also looking for nominations, and I hope she gets elected.
Yep, when we talk about, if you see folks along the bottom there, conference at alba.org, or my guests today have enthused you in any way and you think they deserve to be on the ballot, they all need some nominations. So get nominating, and you can nominate as many ordinary members as you like. And remember, it's ordinary members, and you can only vote for them if you're at the conference. There will not be, the office bearers. You'll get an email through from the party, and you can vote for the office bearers. But these people here, like myself, who are running for ordinary members, you have to be at the conference to vote for them. Can I ask you, Jackie, have you ever stood for council or anything else before?
I stood for council last year, and that's the first time I've ever stood for election to anything really other than to be secretary in Fife Alba in the first year. So it's all quite new to me. I worked, I still do work in the council, so it's never really something that's been on the forefront of my mind to do, just because of the trickiness between working there and standing as an elected member. But I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed getting out and about and speaking to people about what they need. I've lived and worked here for 30 years, so you don't want to take things for granted. So it was nice, the campaign, just to get out and, speak to normal people.
Yeah, I've actually found with everybody, because when you're doing a campaign like this, you've really got to speak up for yourself. And the one thing I found with all the Alba people, they're a wee bit, they're not blowhards. Genuine people like all of you here just now, who just want a better Scotland, an independent Scotland, and a good party. So how do you find it, Jackie, actually having to promote yourself as opposed to the party or the policy?
It's quite different, and it is difficult. I mean, if you see some of the messages on the groups this week, I know you've had Leanne on, and we're all quite new to this, and we're all really nervous, messaging each other, saying, I'm really worried about this. And so we're not really all that used to it, I'm certainly not being used to front of house, doing speeches and all that sort of stuff. I'm more in the background doing research and, keeping my spreadsheets up to date. I'm no Denise, but, I do like to have lists, and if anyone's looking for anything on Equalities Group, they'll tend to come to me and say, well, where's that motion from wherever, and I'll have it. So I think probably more a background role for me, so it is a bit odd being front and centre.
Yeah. It's the same question to you, Sean. How do you find it this you're now promoting yourself, having to go and say, well, can I have it? Would you mind nominating me or whatever? Has it made you feel awkward?
Well, I suffer from anxiety, but I don't know. I just feel like suited into this. I've never tried to promote myself before, but I've been doing speeches that all under one banner, events, and I don't know. It just feels like I know everyone, so it's easy to say, nominate me, or I'll nominate you, or would you like to nominate me? If you know a lot of people, and I feel that a lot in the Alba party are friends, so it's quite easy. But in the same token, it's nerve-wracking because once you
Yeah.
get the nominations through and you've got enough, you've then got to go around promoting yourself. So it's going to be very difficult to try and get people to vote for you. So yeah,
I think, Hamish, for ordinary
yeah,
Scottish folk like yourself here round this table, it's sort of been ingrained into us, don't you be, showing off too much.
Yeah.
You're it's quite difficult to suddenly push yourself forward like this.
Well, I was just thinking there's something essentially Scottish about not wanting to push yourself forward and so on. And, to be honest, when you think about it, maybe that's one of the reasons we have never got independence. I sometimes wonder, I look at what's happening at Westminster today in the Conservative Party policy and what people are saying in the Labour Party in Scotland just now. And I think, what's it going to take to get Scots out on the streets? Well, I know what it'll take for me to get me out. The day they sell the NHS, I will be out in the street, even if I've got my Zimmer. And I sometimes think, what will it take? Because it's not ingrained. Our grannies used to say is, don't you get above yourself, son.
Exactly.
And I still find it difficult after my career and local politics and so on, and what I've done there. I still find it difficult to blow my own trumpet.
That is an uncomfortable thing, but it has to be done if we want to get elected. Another thing, I've asked all the people who've been on here, and I'll go around you all and ask this. It's not necessarily within the Alba party or anything, but has there been a highlight this year for you of something that's happened that you think is maybe a building block that we can move as a movement on? Hello, Trish.
Sorry, I didn't realise you were speaking to me, Roddy. Sorry.
Yes, I was. That's why I said, Trish.
Oh, sorry.
So there's something that's happened this year that you think is a good building block for us?
Well, I think, just to reiterate the fact that our nation is so wealthy in natural resources, and I think you've just got to, keep pushing that forward and make people realise, well, where I live, I'm near St Fergus, and there's an awful lot of jobs and livelihoods and ancillary jobs dependent on that industry. And as we move into renewables, developing that side of things, we're in the bellies for it. And I think I think when people realise it's to do with themselves, they might be a wee bit more inclined to listen. And so I think it's important that we keep pushing that. And the poster campaign has been great to be able to refer to that. Hamish and I are going to be out in the streets with that in the not too distant future, seeing what we can drum up.
Yeah, I think we really do need to press Scotland's oil. As we remember, Hamish, back from the days we did, it was in the 70s when that, and it was a great, successful campaign. But in my show on Sunday, Jackie, I did a bit on the Rosefield, the new oil field out west of Shetland. And all of the oil that comes out of there, the British government have given a 96 billion tax break to the Norwegian oil company. It used to be Statoil, it's now called Equinor. All the oil that comes out, the revenue, the oil is going to Norway to be refined. The revenues are going to London from them. There's something not right with that picture, is there?
Definitely not right with it, and they wonder why we want independence. I mean, people are suffering. They're going to suffer even worse. Coming into the winter now, we've not even hit the worst of the weather, and a lot of the work we're doing on the equalities group is around that whole issue of poverty. And it's really sad that, folk are going to have to suffer more, like Trish says, before, maybe we get out and that message starts to really make a difference. We can tell people now how bad it's going to be, but until people actually experience it, you know. So sadly, that's a building block. I think we will probably, you know, make some fans from the work Kenny's done on energy and the work, you know, the qualities group Leanne about poverty. But, you know, we should be focusing on independence, not on getting our folk through the winter.
No, yeah, we've opened a pine. All of the problems that we have in Scotland can only be properly addressed with independence. As long as you've got a backseat driver, you know, they're never going to prioritise what we would. And on that question, Sean, we're having, if you're successful in this election and you become a member of the NEC, you're going to be sitting there while we're likely to have a general election. I was hearing today, rumours are abounding coming out of Manchester that the Tories are talking about May, possibly for the general election. We're going to have a heck of a fight, and the NEC is going to be very, very busy trying to organise things up. Do you find that exciting?
Oh yeah, I mean, I like a challenge in the fact that, you know, being busy keeps me going. I mean, I've got 2 kids that I look after while my wife works, so actually, if I'm doing something else, my mind's not going elsewhere. So yeah, I would be looking forward to getting stuck in and making the decisions that need to be made, because we need to win this election. So if there is an election in May, well then we need to win it. And we need to put as many candidates out as possible. In it to win it, that's it. Same as the lottery. The lottery on last night and I didn't win it, so let's hope we can win the election.
Here's here. Hamish, as I say, we're going to be in an election. We're going into an election year with this NEC. We don't know yet what the parties, we're waiting on a paper coming on that. And one of the first tasks this new NEC will be given will be the strategy for the upcoming general election. But let's just assume we're all successful, Hamish. Let's just play games for a while. Is there anything you would like to see in an election campaign that we in the NEC could be influencing?
I think we're going to have to find money to fund that campaign. You can't run a campaign without money. And I know that Alec and Tasmina, Chris, too, have been active in that. And so I look forward to getting something behind us. We had difficulty in the Holyrood elections actually moving on that. So, yeah, the NEC are going to have to, I'm not saying dip in their wallets or sporrans, but they're going to have to be thinking about raising funds. In terms of policy direction, Alec's paper will set out, I'm sure, the broad general direction of where we're going. We have to be able to put our tuppence worth in. And that is the one thing that struck me about NEC this year, is that we're encouraged to speak and put our points of view forward. They're not always listened to. Why would they be? But I'm looking forward to putting my tuppence worth in. I would expect that strategy to come forward to a national council. We did have a discussion at Burnside Hotel on a general election strategy or an election strategy. That's the strength of our party, as opposed to another main independence party, is that as ordinary members, delegates to National Council, delegates to conference, get to speak about the big issues of the day. There's none bigger than our general election campaign coming up. So I'll put my tuppence worth in. I'll help in that, as I've done for the last 2 years as a member of the NEC. And just to blow my own trumpet for a minute, 2 years as the convener of the disciplinary committee. Not that we've been overly hard worked, but it has been tough at times. So I look forward to all of that coming up. I think we've got a big part to play because, Roddy, we're encouraged to play that part and we get the opportunity to play that part. And that's not always been the case in other parties.
No, it isn't. And one of the things that, which will have to be, especially members of the NEC will have to be explained, there is no way we're going to be able to fight every single seat in every part of Scotland.
No.
I mean, resources just are not going to permit that, much as we'd like to. It's just a fact.
Yeah. That's why, I started off by talking about fundraising, and some people might think, well, that's not the priority. Actually, targeting where we spend our money is going to be really important. We do not have the resources to go right across the board. And some people are going to be very disappointed at that. Everybody thinks, oh, if only you fight our constituency, we could win it. Well, actually, no, you can't. We're going to have to be ruthless and target properly, and then flood our resources in where we can.
Yep, because I've got to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, our party's that poor, we can't even afford a camper van. That's how poor we are. Trish, how excited are you about being in an NEC that's going to be fighting a general election?
Oh yeah, brilliant. Bring it on. I think just to follow up, I was just saying, but we're not going to be able to fight every seat, obviously.
No.
But I think what we do have is some absolutely fantastic people that can analyse information and find out where are the target areas for us. Find out, I'm thinking in particular of Denise Finlay, the work that she's done as organisation convener of the party has just been absolutely outstanding.
Absolutely.
Making sure that we know what it is we're doing and where we're going to get the best results. And she's such a joy to work with. But I'd also like to thank the backroom boys while I'm here too. And that includes, I'm classing her as a boy, but I'm speaking about Jackie Biester as member secretary. She is a wealth of information and knowledge. Callum has been great too. And with the combined resources of all these people, we're going to give it our absolute damnedest and throw everything at it. And I'm looking forward to being part of that.
Quite right, I think we all are. And I'm sure you are too, Jackie. Is it the thought of being, if you like it, in the war cabinet for a general election? It really is quite exciting, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. And I think the same as Trish, that if we use Denise and her skills in analysing the data and the areas, where we're doing quite well, where our support is, some of that work that her and Jackie does is just amazing. I like a spreadsheet or two, but they're brilliant. They're able to, apply these formulas to areas and replicate, all of this stuff. So I really think it's going to be exciting if we do that, and then we have the best chance of winning seats. So the campaign's going to be really positive, because we know that we're only, going to be in the areas where we're going to do well.
It's going to be quite a battlefield down there in Ayrshire, Sean. Are you excited about
it? Aye, I think it will, because my MP is Alan Dorrans and he's SNP, so it depends who the candidate. If we do run a candidate against them, I would suggest not. But I mean, you've got East Ayrshire as well that you could put in Kilmarnock and that. So I think it will be, once we get the data through, it'll definitely be a battlefield. It just depends where we're going to stand and who's going to be the candidate. That's the thing. You've got to, as I said, you've got to get the candidates' faces out there well before the general election. So I think if anyone's wanting to stand for candidate, they need to get themselves vetted now and get their faces out there. I think that's one of the big things, because we've been fighting elections before and you've seen a candidate come up and you've got no clue who that candidate is. So if we get a candidate's face out there, then that'll make it 10 times easier.
Absolutely. I mean, that's another thing you should all know. In the NEC, we have the right to we ratify every candidate. The vetting committee vet, and then it comes to us for the final ratification. So that's also part of your responsibilities. Hamish, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add into where this conversation was leading to, and something I should have mentioned earlier. In terms of targeting, it was really good that we saw this week that the party, prompted by Alec, has fallen in behind Angus Brendan McNeill in
Absolutely.
the Western Isles, and so it's not a Scotland United candidate, but it's a de facto Scotland United candidate. I think that part of our targeting, yes, we're going to have to choose candidates wisely and get them in place. Obviously, we've got Kenny and Neil kicking the way off, but we also need to look at SNP fellow travellers who have not declared for Alba, or but they've shown some interest in that, and start to be have that conversation at the highest levels within the party of saying, look, can we do an Angus Brendan McNeill with you and pile in behind you? Because the last thing we want to be doing is to lose an independence candidate because of our intervention. We want to be thinking that we've helped someone, even if it's in a party that what we've turned our backs on in the past. At some stage, I absolutely believe that we're going to have to come to some agreement with the SNP. And if I could play a part in that, I will certainly be up for it. I had lunch last week with our SNP MP, Richard Thompson. Richard and I go back a long way and we're still friends. And we were talking about this. At some stage, we're going to have to do it.
Well, with respect, Hamish, they're going to have to do it, because I don't know how many times the Alba Party, since its inception, has held out the hand of friendship and unity. So it's actually down to them. And you didn't turn your back on the party; it turned its back on you. Would be my view of it.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with you, Roddy, on that. They have to step up, and we have to make it easy. We have to make it easy for them. I just get dismayed sometimes when I look at some of the social media comments from some of our members, and you think, don't do that. How are you going to get people to work with you if you're slagging them off to that extreme? So, yeah, it's a two-way process, but I accept your basic premise, which is they have to step up now.
Yeah. The Alba Party showed its credentials, Trish, as I said from the outset, vote SNP in the constituency, vote Alba in the list, vote SNP 1, 2 at the council, but vote all, go down the ticket and vote all the other independence parties. Well, now often again, the Scotland United. I have my opinion on what the chances of that are happening. Do you feel confident that we could end up with a Scottish United? Because as Hamish has alluded to, the arrangement we've got with Angus makes perfect sense, perfect and absolute sense. It should be the same throughout the country.
Yes, it should be. And I think a lot of people in the SNP are just frightened to put their heads above the parapet. But as more and more of them do, more and more of them will be able to do. So I think it's a combination of not so much a waiting game, but as Hamish has suggested, encouraging people to take that bolder step. Those people that are in the SNP, because we're not going anywhere. We are the activists. We've been their activists, and will continue to be their activists alongside the Alba Party.
Well, there's an ideal opportunity coming up on this Saturday for anyone from any party to get to Edinburgh, but they're all under one banner. It would be a good sign of unity if a lot of SNP people also turned up. It would be, it'd be heartwarming. We're not enemies. We shouldn't be enemies, at least we shouldn't be. But you can only so many. If they don't want to play, it takes two to tango, Jackie. If the other one doesn't want to tango, there is no dancing going to happen.
We're dancing on our own a little bit just now, aren't we? I think that it's frustrating because, we can kind of see what we can see, and we're trying to persuade others that, are just a little bit behind. Trish's brother explains it like a train, we're at the front of the train, we can see what's out the other side of the tunnel, but some people are still in the dark at the back. And I quite like that way of explaining it, We've got to be patient, just keep building Alba, giving our positive message, tell people what our policies are.
Sean, do you see much hope down in Ayrshire of a united campaign?
Well, I was going to run for council elections when obviously I was going to run for councillor, and a few issues happened where I had to step back. But I had spoke to him, I wouldn't say SNP friends, who said if I was going to run, they wouldn't have a problem asking them to vote for me as well as vote for them. So I think it's just reaching out to whoever their candidates is to see if what would happen, because some are quite willing to work with us. They're just not willing to say it public, which I think is a bit of a problem. Because normally, if you come out and say something public, you're going to get loused, as we've seen. So it's just one of those things that I think a few folk would work with us. But then again, some might not, because they could lose their seats. But it's all about how brave are they to do so. I've got no qualms in saying I'll work with anyone from any party just for Scottish independence, and I think that's what people need to remember.
I would go up and knock doors for Pete Wisher. That's how much I want independence. I would do that for him. I would honestly, I would seriously go and knock doors for him, put his leaflets out if it was a Scotland United. I swear I would. Hector, nice of you to join us.
Hi, sorry, Roddy. I slept through my alarm. I was on the night shift.
Yeah, because you were night shift last night and you slept through. Hector Macleod. We just said we've got so much in common. We're Macleods. We're both married to Polish women. What can I tell you? We both like the Scotland football team. We're both in the Alba party. What can I say? Vote for Hector. That's what I've got to say. He's probably a cousin 3 times removed. How are you anyway?
I'm good. I just up, so just
tired a bit. Over there in Skye.
Yeah.
The wonderful Isle of Skye. So we've been talking about a few things, and I'll come back to you on a couple. But at the moment, we're discussing the likelihood and the ability that we're going to be, as an NEC, if we're all elected, we're going to be the war cabinet, because we're going to have a general election, a UK general election. And we're talking about the possibilities of Scotland United and how we'll be campaigning. And we're just chatting. It's not policy yet, party policy, before anyone tries to hold us to that. Do you see much hope of unity in Skye and Lochaber?
I think within membership, yes. Like we did a joint Alba, SNP, and yes, Skye and Lochaber street stalls a few months back, and then last weekend a few members joined the SNP Lochaber and yes, Lochaber and Fort William High Street to do a joint stall. So I mean, I think the members are speaking. Question is the ones that are needing to listening, which I hope they are. Well, I suppose October we'll see. But
that's the thing I should say to everyone that's watching this. And we're all standing for election to be elected as your representatives to the NEC, the members' representatives. We're not appointed, unlike in some parties where they appoint people. We're all elected and we're your voices on there. And it is, Hamish, going to be any party, whether it be our party, the ISP, the SNP, it's up to the ordinary members to make the others see that this is what we want. And as I say, that's our job in NEC, is to put the members' views forward. But that's what all members and all parties have got to do if we're going to have a united campaign.
And therein lies a problem for all of us. How do we know? How do we ascertain what the ordinary members are wanting and thinking and so on? And we're wrestling with that problem in Aberdeenshire. Trish will know that. We've been talking about it this week. How do we can reach out to our members and supporters, all 460 of them in Aberdeenshire. How do we engage with them? How do we make it easy for them to engage with us? Do they want to actually engage? Are they happy just being members and paying their subs and letting us get on with it? So finding that view and passing it on. Yeah, we can be a conduit and put it in, feed it all into the NEC. But how do we get that view in the first place? And as I say, we're wrestling with that in Aberdeenshire because we're a big constituency. I guess Hector would be the same. Geographically big. How do we get round our people? How do we keep in touch? And I'm finding out that view. Yeah, happy to feed it in. Need to do the other bit, find out what it is.
But it's those very things, Trish, that Hamish has highlighted here, is that what we as a body in the NEC, we should be trying to unlock those keys, those things that will make will activate our activists, if you like.
Yeah. Yeah, if I had the magic key to open that door, I would have opened it for the elections last year, and I would be sitting on our local council just now. Unfortunately, I don't. But all we can do is keep communication channels open, and just try and make things relevant to people's lives. People have got so much going on just now. No wonder they're not wanting to be active. Yes, they want independence, but do they want to come out of their blanket while they're keeping warm? It's a big scary thought. So I think all they need is encouragement and the personal contact's great. It's maybe a bit of a thing for me actually, because I always seem to be everybody's favourite agony aunt. People seem to like telling me their stories, and I like listening to them and helping them if I can. And I think we can just keep on extending that listening ear to people, and that's really the key, I think, for NEC. Keep listening to people however you can contact them.
Jackie, when I was in there, we were all in the SNP, in fact. But there was talk of the traditionalists or the fundamentalists. I was always a fundy. And there was that factor. And I view, if you like, Alba in many ways as the SNP activist fundamentalist wing. And if we could only get the two of them to come together again, I think we would be unstoppable.
I think we would. I mean, the whole notion of Scotland United, I mean, however it's going to work on a practical level, I think, which is what is upsetting a lot of people, but we have to be united. And if we don't work together with all the other parties, not just the SNP, but, as a movement, we are going to be the Yes movement. We're one movement at the moment, it's all a bit over the place. But I think we can get over it. I don't think it's insurmountable, but we need to find ways where people can vote how they want to vote as well. I don't know how we do Scotland United as things stand, asking people to vote for other parties. Some people just won't go for it, so that's a big issue we need to get over, I think, and that's going to be an interesting discussion over the next few months, for sure.
Yeah, I have asked lots of people. I have been, extolling the virtues of Scotland United. I said, however, if anyone's got a better idea, now's the time to share it with us. I haven't heard one, Sean. Can you think of anything better than Scotland United to get us over the line?
Democratic Alliance. I think, I think what people need to ask the question and what they need to answer is, do you want Scotland to be independent? How much do you want Scotland to be independent? Will you do anything for Scotland to be independent? Then if so, you're going to have to vote for a different party if need be. I think that this whole thing of, we're all supposed to be one yes movement, but it's not one yes movement until people who really want independence come out of this clouded mind frame and just say, I'll do anything. You said you'll go knocking doors for Pete Wishart. I think if you really, really care about Scotland wanting independence, then you're going to have to take your pride and do anything for it. And if that means knocking doors for Pete Wishart or, voting the SNP in your constituency, then it's going to have to happen, unfortunately, or fortunately enough. But if I need to do it, then I will, because Scotland needs to be independent. So it's a difficult one as well, because you've got there's Trish and Jackie and a lot of other women who have problems with the self-ID. I'm not going to go into policies and that during this, but for them to vote SNP, it's going to be hard. So there is difficulties that we've got to think about, but I do feel that if you really want independence, then you're going to have to do something.
Same question to you, Hector. Can you think of anything that is better than Scotland United to get its independence? A better strategy?
I can't think of a better one, no. And I think, I think if you take the politics out, political parties out of it, and you ask somebody, what do you want? The answer is going to be Scotland to be united. Because I think if we look at how Scotland's been since the last referendum, the constitutional question has always been there, and I think it's going to be there because we're at a stage now. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. I think Scotland is on a journey to independence.
Yes.
And I think the sooner we get it, the faster Scotland can start. Because we keep hearing these arguments, this shouldn't be the priority, there's more important things. But we can't start tackling these important things until that constitutional question is answered, in my opinion, because, it's not just the independence parties that use the independence question for elections. The Tories are thriving on it as well. They're getting the support from maybe soft unionists because of the constitutional question. So we really need that question answered so we can start making Scotland a better place, and the better place it was on a progression to at 2014 when we had Alex in governance, and we've seen little examples of what could be possible with good governance in a Scottish Parliament.
Well, I believe back in November 1967, when Winifred Ewing, the wonderful Winnie Ewing, won Hamilton, it was at that time he said, yeah, independence is now inevitable. The only questions left are how and when. I still believe that's the questions, Hamish. You said earlier, one of the problems is, what's it going to take to get the people, get them out and get there? I mean, you look at the French, they were threatening to put their pension age up by 2 years, and they rioted for months on end. They were burning cars. They found the president's one habit I liked. They found the president of France, Macron's favourite restaurant in Paris, and set fire to it. The French don't mess about, but they've got revolution in their blood. We have been cowed and beaten down for so long.
Yeah,
is there fight left?
Yeah, well, I would have suggested, a few hundred years ago, we would have had revolution in our blood too. But I agree with you. We're cowed now after 300 odd years of being under the yoke. But we need to get out of that. And so I'm not suggesting that we start burning restaurants or engage in any of that. No. But at some stage, some civil disobedience might not go amiss, and you can see that does work with just stop oil and all that. It gets under people's skin. Now, you could argue it's counterproductive, but at some stage, I want to see Scots people get up off their knees and start to make their voices heard. And if that takes out on the streets, then so be it. I will be out there, as I said, with my Zimmer, getting on with it and doing my bit. I think we're too passive by far.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw actually a great picture on the penny. You saw it. It was someone on an EasyJet flight to Tenerife, I believe it was, and there was a guy sitting beside him with a Stop Oil T-shirt on. Yeah, I don't think you're quite getting your own message here, mate. You're sitting in a plane when you tell us to stop using oil. Absolute nonsense. What, if I could ask you, Trish, what are you looking forward to most in the coming 12 months?
The general election, seeing what a difference we can make, seeing how when we hone our skills and have that laser focus, what we can do with them. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, and I'm also hoping that the member, or the leadership of the SNP will start listening to their members, because it's clear by You know, Hector speaking about the event they had in Skye. We had one in Fraserburgh as well. It was a Yes, Brokers for Independence and Alba Party combined wee Alba book event, and we had an awful lot of SNP faithful there, although I'm told that they were instructed not to attend. People don't like being told, people don't like being told what they can and can't do, particularly not people of independent mind. So that's going to backfire against the leadership. And I think in the next year, I'm really looking forward to having a change of leadership in the SNP where it's properly representative of its members and where all members of all independence parties can actually get together and bring that Scotland United to the table at last.
Yeah, that would be nice. How about yourself, Jackie? Have you got any big ambitions this next 12 months?
Yeah, we kicked off this year on the Equalities Group doing some roadshows a couple of months ago. So we had 4 of those and they went down really well, speaking to people. And it was good because we worked with Denise with the data, going back to the whole data thing. She, you know, was advising us what areas where we would do best, where we'd get most interest in our events. And it was really great to run them. So we're doing some work, thinking about what we're going to do over the winter. Going to be difficult maybe to do these things in person. So we're thinking maybe do some podcasts and stuff like that. So we'll maybe be returning the favour to ask you guys all to come and speak on our podcast over the winter, just to keep the kettle going. But yeah, it's all going to be geared up towards the election. So exciting times.
On you go.
That's it. That's all from me.
Hamish, before you arrived, in fact, before we went on there, we were having a wee chat, Hamish and the rest of us, and I can tell with your attire, you'll be in agreement with us, because the biggest thing we're looking forward to in the next year, non-political, is making sure that Scotland qualify for Germany. So I assume that's your big thing. But that aside, do you have something in the next 12 months, you know, you hope to see? Something practical. I don't mean, oh yeah, we'd like to win every seat in Scotland. Of course we would, that's not going to happen, but something practical that you would like to see happen in the next 12 months.
Sorry, is that to me, Roddy?
Hector.
Or Hector? Hector, yeah.
I think the general election, because I think a national election is going to bring out the activists that might not be so active at the moment, especially if, you know, SNP aside, if there's a Scotland United front with other parties, then independence activists will come out. Even in the council elections we had, it was, you know, we were out campaigning, would bump into some SNP activists, some activists for the independence supporters here, and I don't know, there's something about national elections that it's just getting everyone out and speaking again. I'd imagine it's the same in everyone else's areas, that if you do a yes stall on a random weekend, it's sometimes hard to get members out. But if there's a focus on an election, then you see the numbers rise. Because I've said that for a while. I mean, everyone's always asking, how do we get people involved? How do we get more people active? I think the answer is give them a campaign to campaign on, and
an electoral event. I agree, absolutely, wholeheartedly. In 2017, Sean, the SNP didn't lose votes to other unionist parties. What actually happened was that 500,000 of the SNP vote, or sympathetic vote, stayed at home. I have a funny feeling the same will be happening tomorrow. That's Thursday in Rutherglen. I don't want to see the SNP get slaughtered, and I don't want to see the unionists winning a seat. But I'm scared that they will. Will that be the joke, you think, that will make the entire Yes movement come together?
Well, I was talking to my friend. He's a soft, like he's in the fence between yes and no, and he's a conservative voter, but he's more for independence. And we need people like that too, obviously. different backgrounds. A broad church is like, so we need Conservatives, Labour members to vote for independence. And I don't really want to see them getting slaughtered. But I'm scared, like yourself, that they will. And if they do get slaughtered, the unionists will be jumping up and down saying, oh, that's it, Scottish independence is gone, the dream is gone. I reckon, yes, personally, it might push them to come together. I think October at the SNP conference, I think if they do get slaughtered, they will have to push for us all to come together, because we're all supposed to be fighting for Scotland. If the Conservatives and the Labour Party can come together, why can't we? So I think if they do get slaughtered and the unionists do have a celebration over it, they're going to have to do some hard thinking, and they're needing to come together. I think that's the only way. Maybe they're needing that shake-up. It's difficult. It's a difficult one.
Hamish, I'm not Sir John Curtis, and I don't have the data in front of me. But just anecdotally, it tells me that, I know, like you, I still got a lot of friends in the SNP, and I was talking to one, talking about this on Sunday in the Prism, who were given the list, the knock-up list, to go out and just start gearing up the SNP support to make sure it was still, and not one person on that list that they had was going to go out and vote. They're staying at home. They're not going to go and vote Labour. They're sitting at home because they're not happy. Could this result? Should we as independentistas actually be looking to see them getting slaughtered to give them a wake-up call, or would it be bad? I don't know. I'm betwixt and between.
Yeah, I feel the same. Been there, seen it, done it. Was here in Gordon when Alec got defeated. The Tories didn't get any more votes here than they'd got previously, but our supporters stayed at home in big numbers, and I think that was 2017. It was a poor election for the SNP. I think the SNP will get beaten on Thursday. I don't think that will present the jolt that is needed for them. They will find a way to brush this off, excuse it, or whatever. I don't think their October conference will provide the jolt that is necessary. I think if there is a jolt coming, it will be at the next general election, and that might concentrate people's minds. I said that to Richard Thompson last Thursday. Richard, you've got 800 of a majority out of 65, 70,000 electors. You need to be thinking about your future, man. And he did not demur from that. The big thing for me, and one of the things he did ask previously, Roddy, what do I want to achieve in this coming year? And it's pretty boring, actually. I want to take the party as part of the NEC to the next level, the next organisational level, because I think the big time that is coming for us and Scotland is the next Holyrood elections. And we have to build the party for that. And that is pretty boring stuff. It's day in, day out grind, looking at stats, communicating with people, building your NEC, putting your thoughts in, and so on. You don't get any kudos for that. That's backroom stuff. But it's really important. And build from the jolt that's coming to the SNP, and I really believe it, at the next general election, build on that and start concentrating people's minds and saying, are you going to waste 1 million votes again? Are you going to do that with your vote, SNP 1 and 2? And lay out a strategy and encourage them in. So that's what I'm hoping to do.
I was going to end the show because the clock has beaten us on that. I think everything we do between now is to get us to 2026, because you're right. I agree with you. That's our big opportunity. And what we can do is we can be honing our NEC, our vetting process, our candidate selection process. We can be our messaging, all those things we can dummy run in the general election and hone and make better and get our candidates. It's something I think it was you alluded to, Sean, that we've then got 2 years to get our candidates known in the local community, letters into the local paper, at the local, whatever, gala day at the Chamber of Commerce, whatever it is. We've got 2 years flat out, but we need people like yourselves on the NEC that are going to help facilitate that and make that our priorities, because we're not there for any other reason. Contrary to what anyone thinks, we don't get paid. There ain't no gravy in the Alba party, let me tell you. There's not even gruel in the Alba party. It's expensive to be in the Alba party, but we do it because we love our country. That's why we do it.
Yeah.
So can I thank you all, and can I remind all our viewers who are watching now, there is conference@albaparty.org. Now, if you'd like any of these wonderful people to be on the ballot, and I think they should all be on the ballot, nominate them to the party. You can nominate, if you've already nominated people, you can still nominate again. And if you're going to party, remember these people. Remember what they've said to you and the previous guests, because they're all the same thing. In their heart, there's independence, and they all want what you want, which is independence. And until we see you again, all of you and yours, please take care.
Thank you, Roddy.
Through a Scottish Prism, the programme that is unapologetically pro-Scottish independence and anti-Westminster rule. Everything we say here is viewed through a Scottish prism. Brought to you by Barhead Boy.